Do what they say I can't do. Look around me, that's insane proof. Lot said I wouldn't, that got my brain too. But some said I couldn't, so I came through. For all the ones that stayed true, they get to come back and hop on a train too. But guess what? There is no next stop, only when the tracks end. Full steam ahead until my whole stack's in. We make bank and we pack sand, but I won't quit till the whole hand's over. So go ahead and sit to Ken Poke. Hey guys, so in this session, they obviously took the shirt off my back. So not super great. Overall, we just lost. So that's kind of how that is. Losing session, but so we just couldn't connect. We had some good starting hands. I'll show you those. Not really too much to talk about. Probably going to be really short. Our next session, though, ended up going pretty well. And then we also played some just Hold'em, not PLO, at Northern Quest, and we ended up coming back up later this night. So we actually ended up overall up about $600 on the night, just playing some Texas Hold'em at Northern Quest, but they don't let me record, so can't show you guys that. So anyways, let's get right on into it, and I'll show you the first hand. So we've built our stack up in to about $1,200. I think we bought in for 800-ish. And we look down at King 7, 10, 5 double suited. So then the action goes to where we actually have a raise, a 3-bet, and then a cap to $85 pre-flop. Now this happens a whole lot in this game because Washington State has it to where you cannot actually 4-bet or 5-bet once there's 3 raises. I think that's about it. So a whole bunch of people get in pre-flop with mediocre hands just like this one. So we have 6 ways to the flop, $85 a piece, and the flop comes actually pretty favorable for us, honestly. And so it comes with 2 spades, and we end up with top pair. So it comes 10, 9, deuce, 2 spades. We have king 10. We check our second nut flush draw and top pair to Billy, who bets 300. We're not super concerned about this. We actually intend on calling the 300 without too much thought. But then something kind of crazy happens. Randy actually makes it a lot bigger, and Randy's a relatively tight player overall. So he makes it 600 to go. And one of the things about having the $300 cap bet means that you have to put a little less stock in your direct odds that you're getting and put a little bit more stock in how much you're actually how many bets you're running into. So this is a raise and then another raise on top of that. So even though it's $600 for my second nut flush draw top pair, we're not actually getting too good of odds based on what hands they should be betting like this against. So I end up making the fold, and now the turn comes a pretty interesting deuce of hearts, which actually pairs the board. Now this is what makes me think that I actually had a bad fold. It goes check check, so Billy checks and then Randy checks behind, so that makes me think that I had a kind of a bad fold until the river comes the queen of spades and Randy bets the 300 and Billy ends up folding. So we'll never actually know if we made a good fold or not. We just lost the minimum on that, I think, with $85. So on to the next hand. So in this next hand, we look down at 7, 6, 4, 10 double suited. And this is another one of those mediocre hands that we end up getting involved with because of the Washington State caps. So you can actually min raise, which means that you raise the minimum that is allowed by the rules in this game. And the blinds are 3-5, and someone made it $10, which means that the minimum is actually 15, but someone made it 25. So you have to raise by the same amount or more that the previous person did. Now in this case, when someone made it 25, that's a raise of 15. So the next lowest raise is $40. And so that often gets done pre-flop in these games so that there's a cap and we can take multi-way flopped. So it got raised to 10, then 25, and then the cap was 40. So we take another multi-way flop with 10, 4, 6, 7 double suited, and the flop comes out actually pretty favorable for us. So we look down at 10, 7, 6, 4, and the flop comes 10, 6, 3. and there's actually 2 hearts out there. So we flop 2 pair, and we make a mistake and we check it. So checks around, and the turn comes a 4 of clubs, which does not introduce another flush draw, but it gives us 3 pairs. So I pot it for $280, and then of course Billy raises us for another 205. So that means that the bet is now 405. And surprisingly, Trevor, who's a tight but aggressive player, he actually ends up calling the 405. And then something really, really surprising happens. Once again, Randy comes along to really ruin our day. And after Trevor calls the 405, Randy makes it $785 to go. I just keep getting into tough spots tonight. And so once Randy makes it 785, I double check my cards. Yep, I still have 3 pair. I have a 7, which blocks some 5-7s, but ultimately, I don't think Randy's ever doing this without 5-7, which is the effective nuts here. And by effective nuts, I mean it is the nuts. So I only have 12 cards that can really bail me out if I am against a straight. The 3 4s, the 3 6s, and the 3 10s. And that's just assuming that no one else has a 10, 4, or 6. And if a 5 comes, I chop with 5-7. Because I have 4-7, so I would make the 7 high straight as well. That's assuming that no one has 7-8. Now, all that adds up to a pretty clear fold, I think. I shouldn't pay the $500 more. But it's just kind of frustrating to end up in these really big spots where I have really solid hands and just keep running into monsters. Anyways, I end up laying it down, and I asked Teresa to take a look at it. We really love Teresa. She's great. She's always rooting for us because we're kind of an underdog in this game. We're by far the least experienced. So when I lay this down, I tell her to look at it, and she says, nope, can't do it. I'm like, I know, you can't do that. But unfortunately, we would have actually made a boat on the river had we called this extra $500. So kind of the theme of the night is folding winners, and once again, we fold the winner. So on to the next one. 7. 10 6 4 7. So I had the gut shot to the 7 high straight. So I figured I was chopping with 5-7, and then 3 pair. Top 3 in a gut shot. Huh? Yeah, I had top 3 in a gut shot. So I would have made. So our stack whittles down to around 425-ish, and we look down at pocket aces with Jack 7, and we have the Jack of spades and ace of spades. So pocket aces with 1 suit is how that's said. And unfortunately, we get capped at $20 pre-flop, so we can't really make a big raise or anything like that. This is one of those moments where we really don't like the cap in Washington State. If I could have raised that to pot, I would have. 6 players, $20 a piece to the flop, which comes pretty favorable. Queen, Jack, 4 with 1 spade. So I check it, and the flop comes, or sorry, the turn comes the 9 of spades. So now we have a Jack, pocket aces, and the nut flush draw, and someone makes it 30, and then it gets raised to 75, so that was a $45 raise. So I make another min raise to 120, and this is honestly a sort of milky value raise, just in case I do hit my spades and I want to get the rest in. I only have 285 behind. So I was actually thinking about this min raise. It's pretty hard to fold if it's only 90 more to the $30 person and only 45 more to the $75 better. So anyways, that's what we do. And the river comes pretty sweet, the king of spades. So we have the absolute nuts. I'm sorry, the 3 of spades. And so we have the absolute nuts. And so we go in for our 275, and Randy ends up calling us. We never really saw what he had, but we had the absolute nuts. We could not lose, and so we end up scooping a pretty sizable flop
Yeah,
with the nut flush again.
with aces.
And so we've gotten a couple of nut flushes tonight already, and they were talking about that. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video here because I ended up losing the rest of my stack in pretty straightforward ways. Basically just getting it in with good draws and whiffing. So ultimately ended up nut flushing our way to a $1,500 loss on this session. Not super great. Our next session is a winning session again, which is pretty awesome. And we play again actually tonight. Tonight is September 18th, so it's Monday. It is 5:20 in the morning. That's why I've misspoken quite a few times on this video. We won a pretty sizable pot, not flop. Those types of things, miscalling the cards and such like that. But I did want to get a video out for you guys. So please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's hit the outro song, and I'll see you guys next week. I do what they say I can't do. Look around me, that's insane proof. Lot said I wouldn't, that got my brain too. But some said I couldn't, so I came through. For all the ones that stayed true, they get to come back and hop on a train too. But guess what? There is no next stop, only when the tracks end. Full steam ahead until my whole stack's in. We make bank and we pack sand, but I won't quit till the whole hand's over. So go ahead and sit 2 can poke.